Hello, I am Bob, and this is the Home Bitcoin Immersion Mining channel. In this design series episode, I'm going to cover heating your clothes dryer with Bitcoin mining. So with that, let's get started. But before getting on with the video, I want to mention some sponsors of the channel, the first being Brains, and specifically the Brains Pool. The Brains Pool has an important feature for home mining, and that is Lightning Network payouts. As a home miner, you might only be running one or maybe two mining machines. And although you're continuously stacking sats, you might not be stacking enough to where using a conventional Layer 1 UTXO with higher transaction fees makes sense. In this case, the Brains Pool allows you to set up your mining payout on the Bitcoin Layer 2 Lightning Network. Just simply enter a valid Lightning address and you'll be getting all of your regular Bitcoin mining payouts on Lightning, enjoying high transaction speeds and near zero transaction fees. This is just another example of the great features the Brains ecosystem brings to home mining. Now my next sponsor is Scott's Crypto Mining and the Build-A-Mine Bootcamp. In the Build-A-Mine Bootcamp, you'll learn everything you need to know to launch your first megawatt of Bitcoin miners in less than 3 months. The Build-A-Mine Bootcamp is taught by Scott himself, and you'll be joined by other entrepreneurs and business owners like you who want to learn how to stack more sats faster through Bitcoin mining on an industrial scale. To get in on this fantastic opportunity, just click the link in the description below. And last up is the mining hardware supplier for the channel, Altair Bitcoin Mining Solutions. Altair is your one-stop shop for any mining hardware you might need. They have everything from the latest and greatest miners to every hashboard, cable, and part you might need to repair your existing hardware or build your own 120-volt home-built miner. Altair has years of experience working in the Bitcoin mining industry, running their own mining farm, and they've worked with all different scales of mining operations. Altair is based in the US and has top-rated customer support. And so if you have any question about anything at any time, they are there to help you out. Altair is a huge supporter of the home mining community, so if you're looking to buy your next miner or miner parts for your home setup, check out their website at the link below. You'll find pretty much everything you'll ever need. Okay, so clothes dryers are a common appliance in most homes. In fact, in the US alone, there's estimated to be around 60 million clothes dryers in homes across the country. Now, clothes dryers are also one of the largest users of electricity in a home. Their energy use can range from 1,500 to 5,000 watts, with the average size of around 3,500 watts. Now, the way most dryers work is that all that power is just being used to heat up a small coil of wire to make hot air. This is great for drying clothes, but it doesn't do much else. It's a lot of energy that could be put to more use. For example, imagine if all that power was used to run Bitcoin miners, which generate a lot of heat, and then that heat is used to dry clothes. The electricity is now doing more than just one thing. It's drying clothes, but it is also securing the ultimate, uncorruptible, unconfiscatable, and uncensorable money that is Bitcoin. And a homeowner using a Bitcoin miner to dry their clothes would be getting a return on the electricity with mining proceeds, reducing their utility costs. And looking at the bigger picture, if the average homeowner does about 3 loads of laundry through an average week, the 60 million dryers across the country are collectively using about 3.75 gigawatts of power at any given time. With current miner efficiencies, this would result in producing 125 to 214 exahash of hash power, which would be around a quarter of the current Bitcoin hash rate, and that's just in the US. Worldwide, using Bitcoin miners to provide heating for drying clothes could make up over half of the network hash rate, greatly decentralizing the Bitcoin mining network. So why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we all drying our clothes with Bitcoin miners? Well, right now, there aren't any commercial options out there. Bitcoin heating is done with one-off builds by hobbyists and builders like us. We're figuring out what works and what doesn't by trying things out, and hopefully down the road, the lessons we learn will result in commercially produced systems used by everyone. Now, I've had some successes integrating Bitcoin heating into my home. I've got a link above to my build playlist where I cover how I've integrated Bitcoin miners into my home heating, hot water, and garage heating. And based on the knowledge I've gained, adding Bitcoin heat to a clothes dryer seemed like a fun challenge to take on. Now, the way I see it, there are a few challenges to making this work, and the first of these challenges is airflow. Looking at a typical clothes dryer, the airflow through the appliance is fairly low. Most dryers have airflow rates in the 120 to 150 cubic foot per minute range, with some as high as 225 cubic feet per minute. But in all cases, this is a lot lower than a typical air-cooled Bitcoin miner. Now, I couldn't find exact airflow values for typical machines, but a few estimates I did find put the needed airflow rate for an air-cooled miner at around 800 cubic feet per minute, which is around 6 times the average dryer airflow rate. If a Bitcoin miner is hooked directly up to a dryer, there will likely be a lot of back pressure into the miner, reducing the miner airflow and overheating the miner. You could try adding stronger fans to force more air through the dryer, but all the ducting and airways going in and out of the dryer are really undersized for that type of airflow, and it's really going to be hard to make that work. So from an airflow perspective, the two systems really aren't compatible. Dryers are just not built to handle the large airflow needed by a Bitcoin miner. And this is where immersion cooling comes in. In an immersion system, the miner is cooled in a tank by a circulating dielectric fluid. The fluid pump and fluid flow rates can be tailored to ensure the miner gets all the cooling it needs. And the hot dielectric fluid can then be sent to a radiator where the fluid heats up air, which can then be sent to the dryer. The radiator itself can then be sized to handle whatever airflow rate the dryer needs. And so the miner and dryer are now decoupled from each other, and each system gets the cooling or heating they need. Now, although immersion cooling solves some problems, there are other problems it can't solve. And the biggest issue here is a limitation on how much heat can be moved from the miner to the dryer. Normally, dryers heat up air from room temperature to 120 degrees to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, with 120 degrees used for more delicate dryer cycles and 160 degrees used for the hotter permanent press cycles. In contrast, for an immersion system running an average S19 miner, the hot fluid exiting the immersion tank and entering the radiator will max out at around 135 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And what this means is the air coming out of the radiator and entering the dryer will likely max out at 125 to maybe 130 degrees Fahrenheit. This is on the lower end of dryer operation, and so the dryer may have to be run a couple cycles to dry a single load of laundry. Now, if you are in a hurry, this might not be great, but if you don't mind longer drying times, the power draw will also be a lot lower, meaning overall, the amount of electricity used to dry a single load will be about the same. And this will extend miner operation, providing you with more Bitcoin income. Now, with the energy transfer issues covered, there are a couple practical problems to solve here as well. And the first of these is controlling the airflow into the dryer. In a typical dryer, the fan is located at or near the exit vent. The room temperature air used by the dryer is pulled in through various cracks and gaps in the appliance housing or through small openings in the underside or back of the appliance. The dryer fan sucks this air into the appliance housing and then through the heating element and through the drum, and then pushes out the resulting hot, humid air into the dryer venting. And so for a typical dryer, there isn't a single, easily accessible air inlet to pipe in the hot air from the Bitcoin miner. And so when building this out, all of the small inlets around the dryer will have to be sealed, and a new inlet will have to be created to direct the hot air from the immersion radiator into the dryer. And the last issue to cover and problem to solve is electric power. Now, unless a whole additional power circuit is run through the house all the way to the miner location, the miner and dryer will have to run on a single high-power electric circuit. In the US, the typical clothes dryer circuit is wired for 240 volts and 30 amps. This is plenty of power to run either a Bitcoin miner or a dryer, but not enough power to run them both at the same time. Also, when running on Bitcoin heat, the dryer still needs to turn on and off, spin the drum, and light up the inside of the dryer when the door is open. And there might be times where the Bitcoin miner is offline, or when it is desired to just run a quick high temperature load through the dryer without mining. For all of these reasons, the electronics inside the dryer have to be modified so the dryer and miner can run together safely. Luckily, most dryers are fairly simple in their electronics design, so making a few changes shouldn't be too hard. So to summarize, to make this work and dry my clothes with Bitcoin miner heat, I have to build an immersion system. I have to size my pumps, radiators, and fans to handle both miner cooling needs and dryer heating needs. I have to modify my dryer housing to seal out room air and accept the hot airflow from the immersion miner. And I have to make some changes to the dryer electronics to operate both systems safely together. Now, I've been working on this problem for several months, slowly building up the components and trying things out. And in my next episode, I'm going to walk you through my build and show you how far I've come so far. And in the meantime, if you want to catch up on my previous builds, click here.